All right, good morning and welcome to another special day. First off, it's the beginning of a new month, and we're here. Now, it's May Day. That's the most important part. It's May Day, a day for workers. Now, even if it was a day for journalists to, stay home, relax, well, we would still be here to make sure that you are informed on everything going on. Well, the conversation about May Day is one of the things that we'll be talking about today on the show. And also, we'll be looking at the conversation on the postponement of the census. My name is Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Esther Wachuku. Happy Workers' Day.
Happy Workers' Day indeed. Well, don't forget to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Voice of the People or Voice of the People TV.
Yes.
Voice
and of course, on our
People
social
TV.
media handles is at voptvlive, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So share, like, and please do subscribe.
All right, and so we'll take a little teaser now, and then we'll go into what the papers are saying, the cover pages of the newspapers this morning. Stay with us.
Road signs are defined as symbolized illustrative guidance for road users for safer and more convenient traveling. If you drive a car, ride a bike, or walk, you must obey all the road signs in Nigeria. Now, these are regulatory road signs and they are mandatory. The one-way traffic sign. The one-way traffic sign is a regulatory sign. Drivers encountering a one-way sign must travel in the direction that the sign is pointing. One-way signs designate the direction in which traffic is traveling. Drivers must not travel in the opposite direction of the one-way sign due to the risk of a head-on collision. This sign points to an emergency diversion route that guides traffic around the closed section, bringing it back onto the same road further along its length. This speaks for itself. It's the end diversion. This sign informs the road user of the end of the emergency diversion route. This is the roundabout sign. This sign advises that you are approaching a roundabout, so drive slowly as you approach. The compulsory cycle track sign. This sign indicates the route cyclists must take. Cycle lane road signs are essential to cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists. This divided two lanes, two-way ahead sign. This sign indicates that two traffic lanes are separated ahead. Two lanes, two-way ahead sign. This sign indicates that two traffic lanes are not separated ahead. Four lanes, undivided two-way ahead. This sign informs the road user that there are four lanes undivided for both directions of traffic. Divided four lanes, two-way ahead. This sign informs the road user that four lanes are divided for both traffic directions. The speed limit minimum sign. This sign informs the road user of the minimum speed limit required in an area, and so drive carefully. This announcement is coming to you from Voice of the People, VOP Television. Now you have a voice.
All right, welcome back. It's time, of course, for us to look at what the headlines are saying on some of the national dailies. We're starting off with the Punch newspaper. The major headline there is 8-year scorecard. Workers lament hardship. Score Buhari governors low on welfare. That story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. High cost of living has made nonsense of minimum wage, 40% pay rise. Unions. Pensioners still earning 500 naira, 750 naira monthly. Economy hash under Buhari, say retirees. You see all of that on page 2. We have above the masthead, unsold goods stock rises by 52%, and that's by the manufacturers. You see that on page 11. We have don't attack embassy staff, ambassador warns stranded Nigerian students. That is on page 7. And the FG dumps 5% telecom tax waiver. That's on page 31 of the Punch newspaper. We also have on the bottom page right there, beneath the pictorial, opposition's rigging claim fraudulent, FG insist. All right, that of course is another headline on the bottom page of the front page of the Punch newspaper. 2 suspects caught concealing cannabis in Gary's sack. Our Gary have so far. All right, we also have beside that one, CBN supplies more new Naira notes to banks. Finally, those are the major headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning.
And we do have joining us Ojedeji.
Abiodun
Ojedeji, a VOP in-house analyst.
That's true.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy Workers' Day.
All right, so how do you respond?
Well, this morning I got to understand that President Muhammadu Buhari has done a lot of work. Yes, 91 pages were released to analyze the achievement of President Muhammadu Buhari. At least I give it to him. He achieved on paper. He achieved.
You're being sarcastic.
Yeah, because I was waiting. I was just waiting.
He achieved on paper.
Are you sure?
It's paperwork achievement.
Really?
It's not something we can physically see. As a president, you are parading your achievement based on what is written, not based on what you go out there to inspect yourself.
But workers, based on what this headline is saying, some pensioners are still earning 400, 500 naira and 750 naira monthly, considering the cost of living.
Under this administration, they don't even think about how people feel, what people are gaining. I don't understand. But the only thing there is at least less than 28 days. So let's just
40% pay rise. Let's look at that as an 40% pay rise increment for some public service staff. One would say, okay, that's a very good thing. That's an improvement, but it doesn't cut across all workers. For example, doctors are not part of that package. Lecturers too are also not part of that package. And then of course private workers, private employees.
You're dependent on what their employers pay them.
Employers pay them, which in some instances is not up to that. We're hoping that actually, is being looked into.
They should stop increasing salary.
How do you mean?
Go back to price control.
Wait.
It's simple.
They should
If
stop
you
increasing
keep
salary.
increasing salary and there is no price control, the money is useless.
Please explain better.
Because if you increase salary today and there is no control on what they were buying will easily take the money away from them. It's simple.
So you're saying
What
that
you are buying 100 naira, the moment they hear that government increase salary, what do you expect? They increase what they were selling to you. 1 naira, you started buying 5 naira. We are just adding to Nigerians' problem. It's simple. Let's have price control. If we have price control, it will be easy for every workers. Any amount of money you earn will has its value.
You know the thing, when the announcement was made, the 40% increase, I went to the vulcanizer to inflate my tire, and I think it used to be 200 naira.
Yes.
And then he told me 500 naira just to pump it. I'm like, what?
Right.
He said, but they've increased your salary.
That is it. So let's have price control. If we have price control, it's easy.
Once they hear that the government is increasing the salaries of workers.
They are just adding to our burden. It's simple. Let's have price control. If you have price control, you know you cannot increase what you are selling. The price is fixed. There's nothing you can do.
All right then. So let's check on another daily. This day newspaper is up next, and the banner headline here is NLC CSOs plead with judiciary to save Nigeria's democracy. Say INEC has driven a nail into the electoral coffin of country. NLC threatens to name, shame corrupt judges. That will be a bold move indeed.
exactly.
On top of that one, Atiku won 2023 presidential poll. PDP replies Lai Mohammed.
Okay.
Sudan, Nigerians trapped between Sudan, Egypt, send SOS. And we also have let's go on top of the nameplate now. Arise News Channel donates 1 billion naira to Western Delta University to set up Media and Technology School. Fayemi offers School of Policy Implementation to institution. Peter Obi, ex-Ekiti governor, to become visiting lecturers. Failure to recover AMCON's 4 trillion naira debt will hurt economy. Kuru warns. All right. And if we go further down, we see a pictorial there, and underneath, Western Delta University 15th Founders Day celebration. And TUC kicks against planned privatization of TCN, NIPOST, Federal Medical Centers. All right, so these are headlines that you will find in the cover page of this day newspaper. Abiodun.
Nigerians, we still have Nigerians stranded
In Sudan. Now it's between Egypt and,
That is 600 and about 637 Nigerians who are still there now. They can't come in, they can't go back to where they are coming from. And then last weekend, presidential jet, they took it to where they wanted to service it to make sure that it worked perfectly, so that when they are doing the handing over, the incoming administration will see a better jet to fly around. While our citizens, they were hanging somewhere in the middle of nowhere that they can easily furnish. Bandits can easily grab them and they will become another burden on Nigeria as a nation.
Well,
it's a pity. We found ourselves where we are today. It's a pity.
It is, indeed. Okay, so we've had the scenario, recall last week, whereby some of the residents, some of the Nigerians trapped in the situation in Sudan, where they said that some state governors were evacuating their own residents from there, especially those governors who are kind of sponsoring the students. So they complained that, okay, what's going on? Is it about my own state governor will come and take me out? What happens to the rest? I thought we're all it's supposed to be a collective
it's
effort.
a Nigerian thing.
It's a Nigerian
Ordinarily, it
thing.
should be a Nigerian
so,
thing.
exactly. So when did it become a situation where they are partitioning it? Oh, I let my state go and take off some students. So, and then some parents even contributed money to see how they could, evacuate their own children from there.
I told you something last week on this program. I said, this evacuation of a thing, it's simple. It's about interest. The moment those that they have interest, they have already achieved their aim by bringing in those that their interest captured in the first place. Others, it's none of their
Who are they
business.
brought in?
It's none of their business.
Who are those that they brought in?
Check. We have almost 3,000 plus Nigerians. Some were in already. What happens to the others? Remember, those vehicles that were supposed to convey them in the first place, when they got to desert, they said they were not going again. Why?
Because they had not
no
been paid.
fuel, and then they have not been paid. Now, so what happened?
And we got information on that the money was sent, but then there was a network problem
issue.
from the CBN. You see, that's laughable. And it's interesting
That is
we are
an
laughing.
insult.
And they had to get money from somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Where?
$1.2 million.
Where?
They had to get $1.2 million from somewhere else to send, and found another way. How? Which other way?
These
Was
people,
it same CBN?
they have turned Nigeria to a drama house.
Well,
If you are bored,
Kaduna State,
Government.
one of the states that has gone ahead to evacuate students that it is sponsoring.
Not just only Kaduna, even Borno did the same thing too. They
So it's now a
evacuated-
state by state thing.
That's basically why.
so what about the students that they go there on their own?
Well, how many of
Or
them
even
do they have? I
Nigerians
think
that
they
actually
have-
went there
On their own.
That was where the complaint came. They said that apparently the state governors who possibly sponsor these students have come to, take the students away, since it's taking time for the federal government to do something about evacuating them. So one of the man who, of course, is from the southwest was saying, so what happens to us? Where are the governors to come evacuate us that we've been stranded here? They said there's no food, there's no water. Even the embassy officials are complaining that Nigerian stranded should not attack the embassy because even they too, they are
They're
stranded.
still stranded. They don't have water as well.
There's no food.
Nigeria embassy.
That was what the embassy said. Don't attack
that.
the embassy. One
So
of
that
the
is
embassy
Nigeria
officials.
home abroad. They were stranded because our embassy is our home abroad.
Sudan is abroad.
No, apart from see, the only thing there is I will just appeal to concerned body. Let them do the needful. This show of shame is not
necessary.
good. It's not displaying us better to the world. I appeal to them. Abike, Irewa, please do the needful. Speak with those that they will listen to you. Let them bring our citizens, bring them home. If outside is not that, if foreign land is not good enough, please bring them home. At least let their parents, let their family see them in peace. If they are not doing anything, if they were now illiterate, please let their family set their eyes on them. Let everybody be happy. It's not by force. Bikonu.
All right, let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. There, the major headline says, May Day, it's been terrible, agonizing for workers, NLC, as workers in oil, electricity, maritime, other sectors grieve over continuous misery, poverty, hopelessness. Ask a government to address poverty, insecurity, unemployment, inflation, high cost of living, set agenda for incoming government. That is the rider, beneath the major headline there on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. We also have above the masthead, OPS urges FG to suspend proposed new taxes. So there are tendencies for us to see more taxes being imposed in some sectors. Sudan, 637 Nigerians arrive Egyptian border. Envoy assures parents and students, and that's on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Inflation, high interest rates drive stock market loss to 1.01 trillion naira in April. Market losses over 70% of the first quarter gains. Analysts disagree on outlook for May. You see all of that on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. FG apologizes over failure to meet a deadline. That story is on page 10. We'll be talking about that one actually shortly. We have Southeast governors, Igbo leaders inaugurate Iwanyanwu as new Ohaneze President General. That story is on page 11. 17 buildings marked for demolition in Anambra for hammering gunmen. That story is on page 11 as well. We also have beneath that, no plans to phase out redesigned Naira notes, CBN. Okay, and then of course we have for sports, under 17 AFCON, Ubade's Eaglets begin on a winning note. That's on page 44 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Let's look at, the federal government stating initially that but by a certain date, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway will be completed. Exactly. I remember that they said this month. I wasn't specific about the date. They said by the end of this month, they would have been able to sort out that expressway.
End of last month.
So what is going on? What is this apology for? I think the apology now has become a rhythm for, it's like things are deliberately done, and then you feel like, okay, well, we would apologize.
Minister for Housing, and he said something. When he set the date, he said, Nigerians, calm down. By April 30th, we will deliver all the roads, especially Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Everybody will be okay. The gridlock will be this, that will be that. Yet, last Saturday, somebody called me, told me he spent 6 hours from Oshodi.
That thing started since Thursday evening. Friday.
6 hours from Oshodi to Bega. From Bega to Ibadan, another 7 hours.
Wow.
It was like that. From in fact, throughout Friday, I'm not surprised it went into Saturday.
What is the problem? Why did they start giving us excuses upon excuses?
No, why if they felt they were certain, why make an announcement if you could see whether no on-site inspection to see, okay, this is where we've gotten to, right? There is a tendency by
because they were not being honest with Nigerians. See, this thing is simple. Be honest with Nigerians. Let's know, no matter how difficult the truth is, just split it.
Wow.
You understand? If you don't meet up, giving us excuses upon excuses upon excuses. No. That's not right. They should do the needful. If the contractor are not doing well, take it away, award it to another contractor.
Well, now what we are hearing is that the rains have come. So it will.
One of the major reasons why.
No.
There's going to be a delay.
This is the third time federal government will give an excuse based on that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
All right.
This will be the third time, and we should be expecting fourth time. We should be expecting. Obasanjo was the president that awarded that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Till from him moving. It seems they don't want to complete this project. They just want to be using it to steal Nigerian money. It's simple.
Let's look at the redesigned Naira notes. The CBN has said there are no plans to phase out the redesigned.
When last did you see new notes?
I said it here. That
immediately they said disbursing the old notes. It's not saying the new notes.
I have my reservations.
Please say your reservations.
I have my reservations, and I think that there is a plan to phase out the new notes.
After all that money?
Oh, yes.
No. After all the money, after all the suffering.
From everything that we have seen, it looks like it. Now, somebody tweeted about it, and, the publication came out that the CBN is planning to phase out the new notes and stay with the old notes. And then CBN came out and said, no, that's not true. That is fake news.
If that is fake news, agreed, it is fake news. Where are the new notes? It's simple.
Because it's
where are the new notes? We are not seeing it anymore.
They're not dispensing it.
They're supposed to run side by side.
Side by side, so that the other one will fade out. But now, new note fades out. Old note resurface. I don't understand. See, this country, the way they were, well, maybe it's a game. Let's see how it ends.
All right. I hope in this conversation we will have something to applaud the government for.
No, transportation.
Pardon?
Transportation.
Okay.
Oh,
Which is
Is
it
that
on
not a good?
transportation?
Is that not a good thing?
oh.
Let's support.
Well, I don't know if it's in the dailies, but Lagos State
I mean-
government has said they're bringing in electric cars.
Yeah,
That is
electric
Lagos State
electric
government,
buses.
not
Lagos State government.
federal government.
So, are you saying there's nothing to applaud in President Muhammad?
I'm
Buhari's
not
again?
saying.
All right.
Of course, I said it earlier. 91 pages of achievement is not a child play.
All right then.
The only
So
thing
let's-
there is they should just come out, show us where the
91
projects are executed. It's simple.
All right.
91 pages. Wow.
Okay, let's
a
look
good
at
one.
another daily. We do have quite a number. The Guardian newspaper is up next, and the Guardian has this headline with a pictorial May Day. All right, Nigerian Labour Congress, displayed right there. The headline has it that workers lament 8 years of unkept promises as minimum wage loses value. All right, we've talked about this already on the show, and everybody will continue to talk about this. All right, right underneath that one, again, Lagos-Ibadan road repair misses Fashola's deadline. Why Lagos fan demolished buildings in Ajao Estate? Yesterday, I don't know if you saw videos
did
of
see
people
that.
lamenting.
17 buildings or 13 something buildings.
Over 2,500 undocumented Nigerian students stranded in Sudan varsities, right? Undocumented, okay. Nigeria loses $4.5 billion yearly to foreign artisans in construction industry. And we also have NIN issuance nears 100 million as government intensifies data harmonization, all right? So, Abiodun. The demolition. Let's start off with
The Ajao Estate
Yes.
demolition. The only thing there
fans saying that the buildings are around the perimeter fence of the airport.
they are since 2016 they have been
Yes,
on
2016
it.
they've been
they have already
notified.
let them know that this building cannot.
And they did say, well, from what the government is saying, that's we've not heard from those that are affected. But the government is saying that they notified them, they asked them to bring their papers, but the papers that they brought were fake.
Oh my goodness.
The documents that authorized them to build were fake. And they also said the houses were on a certain pipeline, And it brings to fore the question about documentation when it comes to getting authorization to build. These things don't come when you need them. The delay is such that people just go ahead and erect structures, hoping that, okay, since they made payment, documentation will come. And then when something happens, maybe there's a collapse, and then we'll say, oh, they don't have proper documents. That is always the case.
The problem with our government, once they collect, or let's say once they receive payment, the way the money will just go unnoticed, and then to do the needful will be very, very difficult, because some permanent secretary that they were supposed to sign some document, they will not be on seat.
Another argument is the timing for this.
The problem
On Twitter, sorry to interrupt
okay,
you there.
it's okay.
On Twitter yesterday, there was a conversation going on about the timing. Now, in as much as they had been given notice since 2016, not many people were aware of that. I mean, those commenting on Twitter, all right, that there was a prior notice to evacuate
2017.
since 2016.
2016, rather. 2016.
So people are beginning to see it as hitting back on the residents of Ajao Estate, which of course we know are predominantly from the southeastern part of Nigeria. So that was the conversation. And I had to chat someone up saying, well, I'm going to hold forth a bit, try to be balanced. They had been given prior notice. I'm like, well,
2016.
if they didn't demolish in 2017, they didn't demolish in 2018,
2018.
they didn't demolish in 2020, why is it now
They're demolishing.
Now, after what we saw happen during the governorship elections. All right. So why is it now?
What
and
if,
why is Ajama State?
What if some of them have already taken a lawful step, a legal step to stop this? You understand? We should go to that area as well. You see, they should not see it as a political decision.
Okay.
No.
Well, I do hope the government will intimate the people enough for the people not to see it as a political decision.
But the only
because
thing
it's beginning to look like it.
And then which you and I understand it's not.
All right.
The only thing there is they call, it may come at the wrong time.
Unfortunately.
But they have been on it not last month, not last year, not yesterday, since 2016. You understand? The only I will appeal to government to encourage their staff, their workers, to answer people's call anytime they needed them.
All right.
You understand? Anytime they were needed, they should be answering calls. Because I believe many of these victims, they will have been running around about their paperwork. That at least if they are going to lose the building, they will have something to benefit from government. But with the look of things, I don't think any of them will have anything to
Okay. So it is the holy day for workers worldwide today.
You're excited about it.
But is it a workers' world or is it otherwise? This is a conversation that we're going to be having next. Abiodun Ojidiji, thank you so much for coming in, to help us analyze some of these headlines on the front pages. Okay, we'll take a short break and then we'll delve into that conversation. Welcome back. Now we do know that today is Workers' Day. The federal government declared it a public holiday in favor of Nigerian workers to commemorate the day. The Workers' Day is an annual celebration marked on May 1. But this year, the focus is on workers' rights with the theme Workers' Rights and Socio-Economic Justice. Now, the question therefore is, will there be a Nigerian worker enjoying his rights? We have a lawyer in the studio, Murphy Abadoni, and of course, joining us virtually is Okonu Abdullahi, General Secretary, Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Okay, good morning, Murphy.
Good morning. It's my
Happy
pleasure.
Workers' Day.
The same to you. Happy Workers' Day to our Nigerian workers.
Yes, I got into the
workers,
studio.
All over.
Moses was asking me, Esther, why are you excited? And I said, it's Workers' Day. I'm supposed to be happy.
Well, are Nigerian workers happy?
That is the thing.
That's the question.
That's
Are Nigerian
the question.
workers? Let's start this way. According to the law and according to the Constitution, what are the rights
That is the
of
labor
the Nigerian
laws.
worker? Yes, the labor laws. Do you have an inkling into what the labor laws are? Go from what you know.
A Nigerian worker has numerous rights,
Okay.
which unfortunately most Nigerian workers are not even aware. And those that are even aware are not even ready to exercise those rights.
Ready to exercise them.
They are not ready to exercise those rights.
Really?
You know why?
Why?
Because of the high rate of unemployment out there. So those who are lucky enough to be employed do not want for any reason to lose their job. Then the labor unions also have not really stood up to their responsibilities. That is why you see a situation where you have, for instance, you have a factories owned by foreigners, Chinese, Indians, Israelis, Philippines. They come to Nigeria, you see things that they would not do in their place, things that they will not even do in Ghana, things that they will not even do in, what is this, our nearest neighboring country, Benin Republic.
Benin Republic.
They do them here because you see that there's always a connivance between the labor leaders and the management of these factories and industries. Do you know what they do at the end of the day? Rather than give the workers, the general workers, their rights, they rather do a negotiation with the management of labor. So you see cases where sometimes, let me give an instance, somebody in the course of carrying out his duty is in got injuries, even right in the factories. First of all, the first body or persons that should take up that fight should be the labor union in that place. But it's only in Nigeria you see that the labor is never interested. They would rather work with
Now,
So
before we go too far, we do know that for using the example that you stated, for companies that are, small factory workers, unskilled labor, basically, they prevent them from forming a union or from being part of the labor union.
Yes, the
They are
companies.
always, yes, the companies prevent them. So that way, it's a lot more difficult for them to channel their grievances through the union and to the company to get their rights, to sort out their rights. It becomes difficult. Now, what is there? What are those rights really? Because now we are seeing a case of slave labor in your country by, people that came in to the country. So Nigerians are now being enslaved. We see people working in factories and then they are earning as little as 10,000 naira. and they are not given protective gear. So they are made to use their hands in places where they are supposed to wear specified gloves. They use their hands, and if there is injury, then they get to take care of themselves, or maybe get the media to now chime in on it, and maybe, just maybe, attention will be drawn to the issue. I think there was a case some years back of a person that got injured in a factory and got his hand cut off. It took a media outcry for the company to pay, for the treatments and everything. The person was basically abandoned initially. Now, it's obvious that people don't even know their rights. People don't know what they're entitled to. Like you rightly said, there's no work. So when you find one, you want to hold on to it, even when your employer seems to be taking advantage of you. Tell us a bit more of the rights that the Nigerian worker has. If we can specify, that would be great.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will give a few examples of maybe the most basic, or the one that should be elementary enough for even for the lowest worker to have a knowledge of. For instance, so many workers don't even know that they're entitled to leave. So many workers don't even know that they are entitled to be staffed after 3 months of being recruited by a firm or by an organization.
After 3 months or 6 months?
3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And this is the most common one. You see, and that is why I even said, even those that know their rights are not even ready to exercise it. This is even happening in the banks. You see a situation whereby rather than banks employ people directly,
they keep them as contract staff.
They will go through a consultancy firm that is owned by also one of those management staff.
In the bank?
In the bank. There is always a middle agency that will be referred to, that will employ you as a contract staff. Then you discover that at the end of every 6 months, your contract is being renewed. Knowingly, that is why I'm trying to build on that point that I brought out, that even those that know their rights, some of these persons know that after 6 months they should be staffed. But because they do not want to lose their job, so after 6 months, somebody brings a form for you to fill, as if you have been employed afresh.
Meanwhile, it's to renew the contract.
And once that is signed, you know what that means? That means, for instance, you have spent like 2-3 years in this company. Once you sign that form, it means that you have just been employed today.
Again, afresh.
Today, every other record is wiped off.
Wow.
It means that you have been employed today. So it means that you have no right to even
go on leave.
To even go on leave, or to even seek for permanent employment. Because from what they have on paper, it's like you're not yet qualified. You're supposed to be qualified after 6 months. Before another 6 months, you are given another form to fill.
And then these workers do not know. They just think, oh,
I said
it's
some
a
of them
normal
know.
policy.
No, some of them know. But the point is that because of the high rate of employment out there, people will rather stick. Most of these workers know that they're even underpaid, first of all. Do you know that workers are still being paid 10,000 naira monthly in Nigeria?
True.
15,000 naira, 20, 25. They are aware, but the point is, if you quit the job or if you reject the offer, where do you go to? Then even when you take the offer and you are being maltreated, I've seen cases where lawyers has offered pro bono services. I've seen cases where workers will say, this is unfair, we cannot take this, a Lebanese or an Indian should not do this to you, we are going to court. The same workers and their families will come back to say, Oga lawyer, leave the matter, I beg, no vex. You know, say work not day. This my pikin, he don't dey house for 10 years. You know, make we manage this one. Leave them. God go judge them. we live in that society where people would rather channel their problems to God rather than channel their problems to the authorities. Because first of all, people do not also have that full confidence in the authorities. You have a situation whereby even the labor union leaders in some of these factories, that even where they have them, and they give you form to fill to become a member. They give you some certain conditions. They give you certain conditions. So you're just a member of labor for the sake of it.
Yes.
All right then.
But then you can't benefit nothing.
We have
Okay,
joining
Okunu.
us virtually
Yes.
Okunu Abdullahi,
Abdullahi,
who is the General Secretary, Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning to you, Okunu Abdullahi.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning to you all.
Happy Workers' Day to you.
Same to you. Thanks so much.
All right, so we are talking concerning what the workers are currently experiencing, despite the fact that we are celebrating Workers' Day. And the question is, are the workers actually celebrating Workers' Day? We have the fact that so many workers do not know their rights. So many workers' rights are impeded. So there is no socio-economic justice. There is no salary increment for workers. Talk about pension is not even available in some companies that are registered. You see workers employed for 6 months, 1 year, no pension available for them. They're not even registered with a pension company. Sometimes they do not go on leave. They work, some persons work 14 hours a day, literally leaving the office. But then there is no aftercare. There is no afterthoughts. There are no benefits for those workers. It's so bad in some instances that even when it's December, right? You know how companies try to package some stuff for the staff just to celebrate them, sometimes when 13th month. Most companies no longer give that leverage. It's almost like you work for what you're paid for. It's like slavery in the modern world. What's your take on that?
Okay, thank you so much. We touched on a lot of issues pertaining to what workers are facing in this country. Yeah, they are true. You are very, very right to have enumerated all those issues that you raised. Yeah, though things may not be too rosy for workers in Nigeria, but I can assure you that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. I listened keenly to what your guest in the studio said pertaining to some union leaders not being up and doing in their duties to workers that come to them after filling their membership form to them. I want to perhaps start from that angle. I want to disagree with him. I don't think we have any irresponsible trade union in this country. So there are things, if you as a worker, you are interested in belonging to a union, you fill the membership form of that particular union, and you do not get to follow up, or better still, you renounce your membership, not necessarily by writing them to counter what you had already filled, but not even to stop the coming on board. So as a result of that, you cannot blame the union for that, because I'm a General Secretary of the Private Telecommunications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. So we experience a lot of things. There are situations whereby workers will come around, they will complain about what they are facing, and they will put them through what they are to do, i.e., first and foremost, they need to belong to the union before we can start interacting, engaging the management on your behalf. And you get to realize, you get to see that at some point, a lot of them will run away, they will take off. You will call them on phones, you will try to get across to them, they will stop picking your calls. And if you hear things like this, you shouldn't put that blame on the unions. The unions are there to protect the rights and the interest of the workers. So I can assure you that we have always been up and doing in our duties. Then apart from having said that, if there is peradventure, what you said is true in any case, but there are ways by which we check these issues like this. One of such is escalating such, reporting such union to Nigerian Labour Congress. So another avenue is to report also to the Federal Ministry of Labour and Productivity, the supervising ministry of all these trade unions.
All right. Okay. So in relation to that, Let's look at some private sectors, because for the civil servants, let's just say, okay, they have their union, a couple of them are already in the union and are part of the force. Let's look at private companies. It's an anomaly for private companies because for them, they feel that once they're part of that union, it would deprive them of having the right on the people that works for them. They do not want a situation where the workers question any policy they introduce, question any work habit or work attitude. They feel like if we can pay you your salary at the end of the month, then there is nothing more that you need. There are some private companies too who are known to owe their salaries 1 month, 2 months. They'll be paying you possibly the month before in the next 2 months. And these workers have nowhere to complain, only amongst themselves. And they get used to it because they feel there is no work. They feel there's nothing they can do. The companies will tell you that if you're not comfortable with the fact that we're not paying you your salaries on time, you're free to leave. And these workers, because they need this job, they feel like at some point the money will come. Let's just continue. They enter into a lot of debts. They borrow money from loan sharks to take care of family responsibilities and emergency cases. Most times they seek for loans from these companies they work for, and it takes a lot of negotiation. It takes a long time before the company management is able to grant them loans. Again, which brings me back to my first question, modern day slavery. Why do we have this practice being incorporated in most private companies in Nigeria?
Please, first and foremost, can you confirm you can hear me, please?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, to your question, yeah, you put it quite all right, the way it is actually. Issues like that are pervasive in the private sector. It is true. You are very, very correct. I can tell you, let me give you a scenario, an instance. There's this a company that the workers got in touch with us, and they told us what they applied for. They were owing them about 4 months' salary. So when they approached us, we told them what we needed to do to start engaging the employers. Despite the fact that these employers were owing these employees, you would not believe it that the workers themselves were not forthcoming. They were not ready for them to be fought for. You understand? So what I'm trying to say in essence is that a large chunk of the blame rests on these workers.
Okay.
You can put the blame on them because they are too scared, or better still, let me say, they are not ready to exercise their rights, like your guest in the studio said earlier, which is factual. It's a fact.
No,
so you meet with them, you talk to them, you tell them, yes, the union has the capacity to do A to Z for you in order to ensure your rights are protected.
Don't have,
you understand? But you see that these workers are not forthcoming. Hello? Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I could hear some voices from the background.
Okay.
So
the question I'm asking now is, why do you think the workers are too scared to exercise their rights?
Yeah, one of the reasons actually, or which one I would like to say that is even the major reason, is that the economic situation in the country, whereby you have a lot of people that are out of job. The jobs are not just there. You understand? When you approach a lot of them, they will tell you that even the one I have, no matter how small, how meager the salary is, at least a bed in hand is better than 1,000 out of my hand. So because of that, they get so scared, because a lot of them, a lot of experiences, I must tell you, Mr. Cyril, a lot of experiences. These workers, a lot of times, they are the ones that do not really want to be bold enough to fight for their rights. I tell you for a fact that we as a union, especially in private telecommunication sector, we are always there to fight for these workers. And as a matter of fact, we don't know if you have been seeing some of our, what do you call it, news. From tomorrow now, there's this a big company that we have successfully organized the workers, but they are pushing back. They are putting a lot of stumbling block. And as a matter of fact, if I start enumerating, telling you the experiences of those workers, you will be shocked of what is going on in this country. And today, having been able to organize over 400 of them, we have been able to inoculate them, we have been able to agitate their minds and make them see reasons why the union is the best way for them. And effective tomorrow, a 3-day warning strike have been issued already, and we are ready to see through this. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Murphy, this question is for you. Why do you think the workers are usually scared? They first of all approach the union, tell them their plight. Those ones begin the investigation process. But when it comes to effectively to start implementing whatever it is, because sometimes it takes a while, before they take a course of action. Why do they retract? Why don't they, stay in the fore to continue the pursuit of whatever it is they want, especially if they're demanding their rights from their companies?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that my friend over there, in the course of his analysis, even when he started by trying to defend labor, even when it was absolutely not necessary, because I didn't actually intentionally want to indict labor. As a Nigerian, I was just trying to express my opinion on what I see happening in our society. But he also went further to agree with me that there is a problem somewhere with labor. If workers would come to labor to fill forms to be part of labor, and at the end of the day, when they have issues, they have scorn, it means that they don't have faith in that labor. It means that they don't have faith. It means that they must have seen precedents when labor did not favor them. It's as simple as that. It's so simple. Him may be speaking from personal perspective. I was shocked when he said there are no irresponsible labor unions in Nigeria. I may agree with him, but there are irresponsible labor leaders, labor personnel. That is just the fact. Otherwise, why would any right-thinking human being that is very sure? It's like when people say they don't have faith in the police. Ordinarily, I'm citing an example now. Ordinarily, the police is supposed to be your hope when there are crises, when there are issues that are beyond you. If you are in trouble, once you see a policeman, you are supposed to have a relief. But because you are not very sure that the policeman is not going to complicate your problems, you avoid going to station. People would rather say, let's settle out of station. I don't believe, because once you get there, they're going to ask for bail, ask for that. And the main issue will not be attended. That is the same thing that is happening to people. How can a laborer have an issue? And if he's sure, 100%, 99%, that labor is going to address issues in his favor, that labor is going to protect his rights, that labor is going to ensure that those his rights as enshrined by law will be protected, why will he not? But they don't do that because they don't have faith in labor. So it all boils down to the fact that as individuals, as organizations, as Nigerians, we need to do better in whatever field or area that we find ourselves.
Now, there is poverty, insecurity, a high level of unemployment. In fact, this administration has recorded from when it came in 2015 till now, unemployment has increased. We have a situation where the academic system, of course, we know how it's stored. It took back their calendar by almost a year end, right? And then we now have that situation. And so we have new entrants into the labor market, young, viral individuals into the labor market. We now have a lot of educated persons having to develop skills whereby they become entrepreneurs because they do no longer trust the government to provide employment for them. And even the available entrepreneurs who kind of try to, would I say, employ, they're very few. So a lot of persons are now individually doing their businesses in whatever way they can do it to earn a living, okay? Now, aside from that, you now have a high cost of living that is not compensated by salary increment. So the next question I want to ask is, in a company, whether private or government owned, how many months interval should it be before they do salary increment? Because you can have a staff who is employed for 2, 3, 4 years, no salary increments. You're wondering what does it entail? What application? What is the procedure like? You understand? For some companies, they do appraisal. From the appraisal, based on what maybe the person you're reporting to or your head of department says on your appraisal, then they now know that, okay, I'm going to increase this person's salary. You have some companies who do it by how much you contribute in terms of, it could be monetary value, the clients that you bring that has boosted the money of the company, you understand. These are the measures that some companies use in terms of salary increment. But by law, how many months does it take for a company to increase a worker's salary, whether private owned or federal owned?
Who are you asking, him?
Yes, I'm asking him.
Okay.
First of all, let me state categorically that I'm not one of those persons who believe in this issue of salary increment.
All right.
And if you ask me, what I will tell you.
Okay, what?
It is not about the salary.
Okay.
In the recent times, federal government, for instance, has made salary increments like 2 or 3 times in this current administration, but it didn't make any difference. You don't need to increase the salaries. All you need to do is to make policies that will make life simple for the citizens. For instance, why do people jackpot to England, to America and the rest? It's not because they earn so big, but it is because what they earn is commensurate with
the needs,
with their basic needs. That is why you see that people earn like maybe £1,000 in England, and after tax, after all deductions, they have just like maybe £100, £200 left. But they are just okay because their basic needs for the entire month has been covered. That is why people who have good jobs, in quotes, in Nigeria, still abandon their jobs to travel because they earn big. For instance, if somebody earns $500,000 in Nigeria, it's assumed to be earning big.
Big, that's 500.
Yes, but at the end of the day, if that 500 is not enough to pay for your transport to and fro work and pay light bills, rent bills, school fees,
feeding,
then it means you are not earning big. So I'm not one of those that is so much interested in the salary increment. If you increase the salary and they cannot afford nothing, it means it means job done. It's equals to 0. So for me, I feel like even when you said something about we having new intakes into the labor market almost on a daily basis, it has to be so, because every year our people are graduating from my various universities. Every year people are coming out of NYSC into the labor market. The only aspect of that I enjoy is that it's now the hardship is now forcing our people to begin to be creative, to begin to understand that government mustn't give you job. And I agree, government must not give you, but government must be able to create an enabling environment for private individuals, investors, to be able to thrive in business, because once they thrive in business, they will have cause to want to employ, to want to recruit persons into the organization. And it will also, the SMEs will also have a fertile ground to want to do their business. So government shouldn't even bother about employing people. Create an employment environment for you and I to do business. Once we are able to do business, you and I will employ somebody that will pay salary, that will take care of his family.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. Well, forget about the salary increment.
Seems as simple as it seems. It's been difficult to achieve. All right, I come to you now. General Secretary, Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Personnel, Okunu Abdullahi. I had to give out your portfolio, first of all, because of the question I want to ask you now. Now, I'm going the way of pensions. We've had conversations as to the pensioner, the pensioner and all of that. Now, we do know that the Pension Act in 2014, provides that employers of at least 15 people should, put them into a pension administration, and they are required, to put them into a pension scheme for their workers if you have at least 15 people. And the minimum contribution under the Act is 18%. 18% of the monthly emoluments. 10% should come from the employer, 8% from the employee. Private organizations have, disregarded this. A lot of them have disregarded this. I'm going to lump two questions in one, and I hope you'll be able to, answer the both of them. Private organizations have disregarded this. What is the unions doing, or what is the union doing to ensure that workers are under a pension scheme? I'm not talking about government workers now. I'm talking about workers under private institutions, private organizations who are still members of labor. Now, if you answer that one, I would like for you to now look at what the federal government has done with pension money in recent time. In 2016, the federal government borrowed 6.16 trillion naira from Nigeria's pension fund. That was out of the we had 8.499 trillion naira. Now the government took 6 point. Do we know if the government has refunded that? We don't know. So people are losing faith in pension fund administration and the whole idea of pensions in totality. How do you respond?
Okay, thank you so much. I think the first question is what the labor unions are doing to ensure that workers in the private sector are covered in the PRA, that's Pension Reform Act. We are actually doing a lot of things. The company I mentioned to you, I don't know if I'm permitted to mention the name, that I mentioned earlier, that we are having a running battle with, that we have declared a 3-day warning strike effective tomorrow till Thursday. Till Thursday. Is one of the issues we have with them.
What company?
Fine. Huawei Technologies Nigeria Limited, actually. That's the name of the company.
Okay.
So when I joined and I listened to your guests, and you raised certain issues that are germane to this very company I'm talking about. And while he was talking and I was nodding my head in affirmation, confirming what he was saying. That is to say that where they are to be paying them, to enroll them in the contributory pension, they are not doing so. But in this particular case, he also talked about several layers of employment, whereby you have a company. Let me for better understanding of what I'm trying to project now, let me use my sector for example. You know the telcos, the service providers, the MTN, the Global Airtel of this world. There are a lot of them, or virtually all of them. As a matter of fact, all of them, there are some aspect of their job, of what they do, that they are outsourced. You understand? So this particular company I mentioned is one of the vendors that render services to these telcos. So this company, the impression is that, yes, I have the capacity and I have the personnel that can do the job. That was why they bidded for the project and they won the project. This company in turn will now subcontracts the same project to another company. And at this new company now, the subcontractors, they call them subcontractors, we also in turn now have outsourcing companies. And you see, what now plays out is that just from telcos, the staff of telcos will be giving directive to the workers. This Huawei Technologies company also, its own staff also will be giving the directive to the same workers. The subcontractors and the outsourcing companies do not have a say whatsoever on these workers in terms of the day-to-day running of of the job they are doing. So directives come from all those ones, and it's as bad as you see a situation whereby the subcontractors are paying allowances, while the outsourcing companies are also paying what? They pay salary. You understand? So going back to the pensions question that you asked me, in their own case, you see somebody that is earning, for example, 100,000 naira as a total package in a month. And then what they are remitting for such person is just 1,000 naira. That is a fact. Even some of them, they are earning about 200,000 naira, some less than 200,000 naira, and they are remitting 1,000 naira in their pension fund accounts. So we have enumerated all this, and then we have given the notice to them, we have given our demands to them, and we are going to pursue it to the logical conclusion, because what they are doing is highly illegal, because these things are covered, like you rightly said, in our laws. At least for somebody that is earning 100,000 naira in a month, what he should be getting at the end of the day sent for him is 18,000 naira, not a ridiculous amount of 1,000 naira. So we as a union in the private telecommunication sector, I tell you that we are doing a lot to ensure that rights of our members, of the workers in the sector, are protected, and also their welfare are enhanced. So to the second question, it is quite unfortunate that the government of Buhari decided to take that chunk of money from the pension fund. Being unfortunate, the word unfortunate that I used, I do not necessarily use it to say that the way he went about borrowing it is totally wrong. It may not be wrong, because the money are just there lying fallow, so to say. I getting it. There's nothing wrong in the government borrowing, investing in it, using them to put infrastructure in place. But the fact is, where the problem is that the ability of the government to be sincere enough to use the money judiciously, to use the money for the purpose for which they are borrowing it. And apart from that also, ability of the government to pay back this money as at when due. Not that you have a situation whereby you have workers that retire and there is need for them to get their money, they are unable to get the money, exactly, most especially in the public sector. So that is where the problem is. Not necessarily that they are taking the money to put infrastructure in place. If they can ensure that all these things will be done with utmost integrity, we don't have any problem whatsoever. We don't have any issue whatsoever in that. Then let me quickly answer my friend in the studio there while he was talking the other time, just to put things in perspective. I did not take offense by what I heard from. So, and at the same time, what I was saying.
Okay, please, let's not do that. Let's not do that. It's okay. We do understand. We understand your point of view. We understand your point of view. He was just stating his own point of view. Now, let's look at the borrowing. Now, a lot of pensioners don't have access to their monies. Anyway, we don't have enough time, so we'll wrap up. In wrapping up, what do you think the government should do now? What do you think the workers should clamor for today?
Thank you. First of all, I just realized that there was a question I skipped, which was it was a question from her. How long should it take for a worker to be qualified to seek for salary increments?
Okay.
For the purpose of our viewers.
Okay.
For a worker that is newly employed, you should begin to expect salary increments after 6 months minimum.
Okay.
With the company. But ordinarily, most employers would begin to think about salary increments after you must have spent like a year with them.
Okay.
Because within the first 6 months, most employers are not even sure if you are going to stay or leave.
Okay.
Naturally, you see workers who take up employment while they are still expecting an employment letter somewhere. So most employers will expect you to stay at least a year before they begin to consider increasing your salary. That is that. Then what is your current question?
No, I
No, not you. I mean,
oh,
you.
okay.
What do you think the government should do? What do you think the workers should clamor for today?
Workers that
It's Workers' Day, so workers are going to, parade, and what should be the clamor now from the government to ensure that workers are better served?
first of all, I must not fail to say that Nigerians workers must also up their game.
Okay.
In terms of
Especially those in the public sector. It is a known fact that they are not earning what they should earn. It's a known fact that the government has not done what it should do. It's a known fact that Nigerian workers are not well fed. But I want to add this, that the workers too must begin, because it's a known fact that workers in private sector do better than, are more committed, let me use that word, they are more committed to their job than workers in the public sector. Okay. So workers in the public sector must begin to understand too that you must contribute to the growth of any organization or government agency that you have found yourself. The idea of come to work by 9 o'clock, come into the premises, do your private business, sell materials, do some other things, and expect to leave the place by 2 o'clock and wait for 30 days to demand for pay for government, that idea need to be trashed.
Okay.
Then I also will expect that the government must begin to take workers seriously. Workers' welfare must be taken very seriously. And one of the best ways you can do so is not just in the increment of the salaries, but in making policies that will make the economy good enough
for the
workers to be able to use what you have paid them to purchase.
Time is of the essence, and time is not in our hands right now, because we do have another topic to look at. So I must say a big thank you to you, Barrister Murphy Abadoni, and also a big thank you to you as well, Okunu Abdullahi, who is the General Secretary, Private Telecommunications and Communications Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, and happy Workers' Day.
All right, then. So we'll take. Well, apparently, as it is, Nigerians will have to wait a little bit longer before we can be able to tell how many we are in the country. That's talking about census. Well, that conversation comes up next. All right. No, well, when Nigerians heard that the National Housing and Population Census will hold this year before inauguration, shortly after what Nigerians went through with the cash crunch, there was outcry. Nigerians lamented that, this would be so much, for on the country. Apparently, the government sat back, thought about it, and said, okay, let's not carry on with the census just yet, in as much as monies have been collected and assigned to different things. Ad hoc staff have been trained, but census will no longer hold. It's been shifted to the incoming administration. It was supposed to start on the 3rd of May and run to the 7th of May. But now it's in the purview of the incoming administration. We have joining us John Akirili, joining us virtually. John Akirili. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning to you and the viewers all over the globe. Thank you for having me.
All right, now, so we're talking about the census. It's been postponed now, and this postponement seems indefinite. But we know that monies have been set aside for it. What do you make of this current development and the fact that the government chose this rather impromptu decision to postpone it at the last minute?
Well, it's not something that is new. That is to show to you that the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, said to all of us that he's tired and he can't wait to leave the Aso Villa. So I think this is one of the last assignments he has got to deliver to Nigerians, and he's just telling you that he's already handing over the baton to the next president to come on board. And so to him, that is his own last assignment, but that will be the first assignment of the president-elect. And if there's something I think we should look at from this postponement, there are some questions that we must ask ourselves. And some of these questions revolves around why the postponement. The postponement because money has been disbursed, ad hoc staff have been trained, and every other thing has been put in place. So if you are coming on the basis of the last postponement of the election from for 18th of March, if that's the basis for this postponement, I think it's not a tenable reason why it should be postponed. But if you also look at it, there are some questions that we should ask the NPC as a body and as an agency of the government. And the question is this: how many Nigerians are aware that census will commence in the month of May? What are those things that have been put in place in terms of modalities and procedures for Nigerians in diaspora? If you say you are counting all of the people in the country to know the exact population of the people you have, what about people who are card-carrying, who are passport-carrying members of Nigeria who are in diaspora? Are you also saying that they are going to be captured in this population census that they are going to have in May? The answer is typical no, and that is the question we ask ourselves. We must also understand the place of migration, that people will migrate from one region to another region. And people will also be displaced from one region to another region. These are some of the parameters I think the NPC should have put in place and look at modalities of overcoming some of these challenges that they are not seeing, but I'm telling them right now that these are some of the challenges that will come their way. And for the purchase of software that runs into billions, I think these billions should be more into awareness campaign. And they should also work with the NOA so that everybody will know that counting of people in terms of census is as important as you voting, and is also a civic responsibility that every citizen must be counted so that the government will know the actual number of people in a particular region and then can also plan appropriately for these people, even with the increase in child and mortality rate as well.
All right, and we also have joining us Evans Ufeli, legal practitioner, joining us virtually as well. Good morning to you, Evans. Well, if you might need to unmute your microphone so we can hear you. Good morning to you, Evans. Okay, then why do we wait for Evans to re-establish contact with us? And let me come back to you now, John. Now, yes, population census. Nigerians, some Nigerians have said that they will relocate from where they are, where they do business, and go back to their villages to
Good morning.
There. Good morning and welcome, Evan Tufeli. This question, I'm staying with you now, John. Now, some Nigerians have said, in fact, I was privy to a document yesterday. I saw it yesterday. And the document was calling for a particular set of Nigerians to ensure that whenever the census, is going to hold, they should go back to their villages to be counted there, so as to let the country know that they have numbers as well, because they feel like they have been sidelined, under the guise that they don't have as much numbers as some other parts of the country. Now, what do you say to this? We do know that census usually should be done people should be counted where they reside, where they do business, as this will enable infrastructural development to be carried out in those areas. But now, if they have to move, how will this affect things?
As a journalist, and I must commend you for that. But let me help you hit the nail on the head. Okay, the set of people who you feel you approve to the document are from the Southeast. And I can say to you, I'm 1000% correct. They are from the Southeast. And these are the set of people who, over time, will feel they don't have figures. You feel that they'll be marginalized severally. And when you look at census, why do we count people? We count people so that we can apportion resources from the federal to the state according to the number of people you have. Okay? And so that is where the federal characters come into play. Okay? So it's a game of numbers. The higher the number of people you have, the higher the resources that comes to your region. And so they are coming from the backlash of the northerners are more ubiquitous in number than the south or southeasterners. Okay? So they are saying, go back to your region, be counted in your region so that your region can have more resources for development processes in your region. And if you say that school of thought is right, I will say to you, yes, it's right. And they should go back and be counted in the region. Why? Because the federal government have not done their own pace as a father to all, in terms of fairness, equity, and justice, and also showing that federal character. The federal government have failed in that regard. If not, such narratives should not be emanating from any source at this 21st century. But here we are seeing such narratives coming up that say, go back to your region and be counted. And also, don't also forget that there are some people also who, because of their religion, you cannot go into the household to count them. They just bring out 1 foot and you count 1 foot. I think in this administration, we will not still go by that way of doing. If you say that these people, because of their religion, they cannot go into the counted, can you employ some of their own people who also have their own, who go into the house and count them? And if possible, take pictures. If you are counting people in the houses, take pictures of them. If there are 7 in this house, take picture of these 7. These are the family, these are the 7 people. So that we don't start, generating numbers as if all of us are mathematicians and statisticians in this country. And then we cannot even, withstand some of these facts that we have brought out in terms of the number of people we have. We always say in this country, Nigeria is almost over 200 million. We are not even sure the number of people we are in this country. So I think the onus is on the agency and on the government that this time they have around, not like the 2023 presidential election, they should make sure that the census is done in a way that is acceptable according to the global and world standard, so that Nigerians can have faith in this government again. Mind you, this job has been pushed to the new administration, income administration. So I think this will be a good way for them to show Nigerians that indeed they are ready to start work, and they will start from the first day after swearing in.
All right, Barrister Evans Ofeli, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
17 years after a population census is meant to be conducted, do you think in this space of 17 years that the fact that we've not conducted a population census, it's had a huge socio-economic impact in our society? Do you think that has caused a major one in that sector?
Definitely. We have seen the outplay of the effect of the lack of a census. Census is not just counting numbers. It also helps you to determine the poorest of the poor, the middle class, and the whatever classes people are. Because when they count, I think they take into consideration people's occupation, and they go into some details which will help them to statistically streamline the strata of social arrangement and demographics of the people. If you look at during the lockdown, when they were looking for the poorest of the poor, it is because of lack of statistics that most of the funds went to the wrong hands. Okay, it has affected us in many circumstances, because even the federal government cannot say exactly how many we are. When they want to give relief, you can't find the right statistics. We don't know how many of us are in the informal sector. We don't know how many of us are in the formal sector. Now, that has affected us economically because if you look at it graphically, you'll find that our economy is hugely powered by the informal sector. And that informal sector is not captured in our GDP. You understand? So when we're talking about GDP, most of the times we're looking at the books from the area where you have a captured formal setting. So this has affected us immensely. But I will implore the federal government to count Nigerians if they are ready to plan for Nigerians. You see, there's no reason counting people you have impoverished. If you are not going to use the information to better their lives, don't spend that huge amount of money. Deploy that money to them rather than, I'm not saying counting is not good. I mean, it's a good thing. It helps you a lot. The international community will take you more seriously when you make demands, and they will take you much more serious, and the government can actually plan from public health care to welfare and the rest of it. Government can plan actually. But I am saying you see the lack of preparation even in the outplay, the build up to it. The lack of preparation here also show that before the postponement, the lack of preparation also showed that perhaps government is not also prepared to use the information to plan for the citizens. Section 14, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution says it is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people, through which government derive our legitimacy. That the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Okay, the census, this is actually the primary purpose of government. And if you look at the same section 14.3, it said that the government must ensure that it deploys the resources of the state, channel it in such a way that the commonwealth of the country will be evenly distributed to the citizens. Now, the government of Nigeria have failed repeatedly in this regard. Okay, so that is why we have an upsurge of people living in high tension poverty. 133 million of us are currently living in multidimensional poverty because of the lack of proper planning for the citizen. There are no social support systems. May I ask them that, for Christ's sake, don't count if you are not going to use the information to provide social support system, please.
But do you think that when it comes to disbursement of funds, that they are rather estimated because there is no data to work with? For example, if they need to distribute, let's just say, resources or funds to each of the regions or to several states, they do not have accurate data for that. So the funds are based on estimation. Do you think that's what the government has been doing? And if that is what it has been doing, then who are they shortchanging? Who is receiving more and who is receiving less?
Yeah, see, the same Nigerians have been shortchanged. We may not be able to put a hold on the particular state or particular region that has been shortchanged. First of all, the first census we had in Nigeria was faulty. It was rigged. Now, because that census was rigged, the balkanization or the structure, it affected the democratic structure of the country. You now have some states that claim 44 million and against a state that will claim 20 million. And when you look at the total number of migration to that particular state that is less than the one that is less traveled to, you'll find that there is a mismatch. So we have a lot of fictive structure, which has, in a way, caused some people to have more representatives in the National Assembly than the others. So that mistake has been made. So right now, we should clean up the slate. This is 21st century. In 2023, we should have absolute numbers. We should have the right numbers of who we are. So that if government will have to plan, if they ever plan, because this thing they say they want to count to plan. I don't trust this count to plan anything. Government is not planning anything. Government is not planning anything. I'm just telling you, they are just going to count the people they have impoverished over the years. And after that, they will dump the thing somewhere. And this is very bad. We the citizens must give government a condition that if they must count the citizens, they must work with that document and they must deliver on the promise of democracy with that document. Otherwise, there'll be some kind of upsurge because the money they are going to spend, they are even asking the public to contribute money, the private sector to contribute money to getting materials and then to make the process work and pull through. So if government put that whole money down and the public also or the private sector also contribute money and put it down, it should not become a joke. It should not become what you will now do and then you will not know, you will still not know how many we are. And when they ask them, say we're about something and you just finish a census. We should stop all these things we are doing. Where the government of this country, they are annoying the citizens. They are pushing people to the wall. Do the right thing. They travel abroad. They know what is obtainable elsewhere. If government will not do the right thing, what moral justification does it have to tell the citizens to do the right thing? So please, the federal government should take this thing very serious.
All right.
And make sure that the purpose should be for the development of the citizens and the country at large.
And it's going to be in the hands of the media and Nigerians at large to ensure that the government is put on its toes, to ensure that when they count, they will go ahead and do what needs to be done, use it to develop Nigeria. Now, I come to you now, John Okerele. Now, when the President Buhari was enumerating progress made so far, he said a few things. He did say that they've done the completion of the enumeration area, demarcation of the country, that has been done. Conduct of first and second pre-tests, done. Recruitment and training of ad hoc workers, done. Procurement of personal digital assistant, PDAs, and ICT infrastructure, done. Now, he said appreciable progress has been made in implementation of the 2023 population and housing census. Now, but shifting the conduct of it now to the incoming administration with an indefinite date, is it possible that we see a situation whereby census may not even hold in 2023? I mean, this incoming administration might have other things it wants to do when it hits the ground. If we see a situation whereby census now holds later on, maybe next year, 2024, there are fears that we might have to redo some of these things that we've done already. Training of ad hoc staff, recruitment and training, conduct of the first and second pre-test, and then demarcation of the enumeration area might be done again. Now, that would mean that more monies would have to be spent. This is a fear in some quarters. What do you say to this?
I think we should not be scared. And those fears from all quarters, let us allay it on this forum this morning.
Okay.
The point is clear. Once this census is postponed, mark my words, we are going to get to a point where there will be another budget. Okay? There will be another budget for this same census.
There will be another budget.
There will be another retraining for the ad hoc staffs. We are going to repeat all of those steps again.
So you're not.
But mind, the danger here is this. The danger here is this. The danger here is this. And we must take note of that. And it is the fact that the present incoming administration do not even have census on their board. Let me say that again so that Nigerians will hear clearly. Once this administration postpones it, it becomes an abandoned project. Now, the onus is now left on the incoming administration to pick it up or not. Mind you, there will be a slang. Buhari's administration, Tinubu's administration. Already they have been working on what they are going to do for Nigerians. Also, mark you, there's going to be a transition movement. There's going to be a transition committee, and that will also take months. So when they come in and you are bringing census to them, but I think I want to implore this incoming administration that they should not look at it as an abandoned project, but rather they should pick it up as the first thing, because if truly you are coming on the fora or on the slogan, renewed hope, the only way you can renew the hope of Nigerians that have been dashed about Census is that Census should hold in the first quarter of your administration after transition. And then once you're able to do that census, it means that you have all the statistics that you need in terms of planning and allocation of resources to every quarter of Nigeria as a country. Then it will help you in terms of disbursement, it will help you in terms of classification of people according to strata and layers, and then you can even know, just like Barrister said about the informal sectors, you can know the formal and informal, and you can know those that are outside your net tax, and now you can bring them back to the net tax, and you can see that a holistic approach would help you generate more funds, will help you capture more data, and then when you get these more funds, also make sure that you plan well for the same people who are bringing in the money. Then can we say, indeed, it is a renewed hope. If not, then another hope dash to the wall for Nigerians to behold.
All right, then. I must say a very big thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. Big thanks to you, Evans Ufeli, barrister, legal practitioner. That's an easier way to put it. And also to you as well, John Akiride, public affairs commentator. Thank you very much for coming on VOP this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you for having me, the privilege.
Yes, you're
welcome. All right, enjoy the rest
you.
of your day. Now we go on to sports now. We do have, it was a fun weekend in the world of sports. Now, looking at Arsenal's long wait to be crowned English champions at the end of this season, well, that may have been dashed at the end of week 34 as they fell to second place on the log. Well, Man City, who now tops the table, were 2-1 winners over Fulham. And we do have some other sporting stories. Let's bring it home to Nigeria. Let's look at what is happening in Nigeria. Well, we do have some of the results from the Premier League. That's what you have right there on your screen. Liverpool 4, Tottenham 3, all right? You can see the rest of the figures there. But let's look at what the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria, how they fared over the weekend. Now, the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria failed to sparkle, beating Chipolopolo of Zambia by a lone goal in CAF Under-17 match. AK of Nigeria kicked a penalty, what journalists have described like a lame man, that he kicked it like a lame man, losing a goal at the 90+3 minutes. The Golden Eaglets of Nigeria on Sunday posted a sparkless performance against the junior Chipolopolo of Zambia in the AFCON Under-17 Group B opener, winning by a lone goal at the Mohammed Hamlao Stadium in Constantine. Now, Nigeria dominated the first half, but for the several failure of Olawale to string good passes from the right hand, Nigeria would have ended the match in the first half with an avalanche of goals, if not for bad passes in the first half. A terrible moment came when a Zambia defender brought down goal-bound Abdullahi of Nigeria in the box, but AK, who just came in as a substitute, kicked the ball like a lame person straight into the hands of the Zambian goalkeeper. Well, incidentally, Nigeria's current head coach, Nduka Ogbade, now white-haired but well-shaved in Constantine, was the first captain to lift the then Kodak Under-17 World Cup in China in 1985. And, well, Nigeria, the match between, well, other matches, Nigeria did not really sparkle on the stats table. 16 shots with 6 goals on target against 13 shots from Zambia with 3 on target. Possession was put at 53 to 47. It was really nothing to write home about. The match between Morocco and South Africa coming up, well, that came up yesterday as well. I don't have the figures for that one. But today we have Group C matches will take the stage with Lions of Cameroon versus South Sudan at 5 p.m. local time, before Mali will battle Burkina Faso at 8 p.m. Local time. And the match between Cameroon and Sudan will, however, not take place because CAF had dismissed Sudan as 5 of her players failed the MRI test, which is a medical device for bone age determination in sports. And you're like, okay, well, so that's it. That's that one for sports. Let's go on to entertainment now.
All right, so interestingly, Davido has spent about 460 million naira in purchasing a Patek Philippe, rather a new Maybach and a Patek Philippe watch. And I will say congratulations to Davido. It's expected, right? So here it is. Now, according to sources, only 150 units of this specific model were manufactured, and Davido was lucky enough to obtain one of them. Maybach is what is trending. Recall that White Money too got the white one, and now this one is gold. You need to see the brand. It's beautiful. It's luxurious. Okay, so in a comparable manner, the vocalist indulged himself by purchasing a lavish Patek Philippe wristwatch to complement his new 2023 Maybach. Virgil Abloh, as he continues his spree of self-spoiling. The head of DMW, who has been on a shopping frenzy, disclosed that he spent a staggering $1 million in just a day. God, rain money on me, please. Subsequently, he reported that he spent an additional $400,000 on a Patek Philippe watch to complement his latest luxurious purchase. Congratulations, Davido. He said it on his Instagram story. I like spoiling myself, so I work hard and I deserve it. That's
of course,
a good one.
He does.
He says that is a beautiful thing for him, and then he deserves it. So apparently, we do know
let's
this.
not forget that
definitely.
It was Chama's birthday yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
we'll be looking into
Chama's
that
birthday.
too. So Aki and Popo have been added to a Nollywood game. Now, you know, on Twitter, these men, their faces have suffered. They've used them as meme plenty times. I'm sure even they themselves used to wonder, where do people go and capture these faces of theirs? Very funny faces. So they've been added as an adventure in the first Nollywood game. Beautiful, right? And of course, it added a beautiful feather too in their cap of achievement. And it's one thing for us to consider that Nollywood is going places, and we're beginning to see character animations as well. That'll be funny, especially for children, to enjoy what we actually enjoy when we, go through social media. And this was developed by Play Network Studio in collaboration with Blue Portal Software. The epic run game sees the rambunctious duo go on an epic run in an attempt to escape trouble. The pair appear to be voiced by the Nollywood actors behind these comic characters, Chinedu Ikedieze and Osita Iheme. Beautiful one, okay? Finally, we have Tiwa Savage. Moses. Did you watch that?
Which one?
When Tiwa Savage was greeting at the White House, when she was, giving a handshake, and everyone was surprised. Her outfit was so beautiful. White, beautiful jackets, stainless. I love the boots. In fact, that was even the one that topped it for me. I really loved it. Well, she'll be performing at the historical coronation ceremony of King Charles III on the 7th of May. We saw a picture which she posted on her Instagram story where she was, greeting all the beautiful, beautiful elites in that place. Now, we know that the king will officially be crowned on Saturday, May 6th, and then the coronation concert and coronation big lunch will then occur on Sunday. I'd love to watch that. I think it's a very beautiful thing to see us, being regarded in that remarkable,
light.
In that light. It's a very beautiful one. Like I said, when I saw the picture, I was like, wow, I loved her outfit. It was just so beautiful. I loved it. Now, it's going to be held in honor of King Charles, who ascended to the throne after the passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, last year. So Buckingham Palace has revealed plans for a festive celebration lasting 3 days. Do we do that kind of thing here?
Yes, we do.
We do, right?
Yes, we do.
Oh, that's true. So I think it's not just new to us where we can just declare a public holiday. It's something that other countries try to also emulate. And the festivities will include several notable events such as a concert which will feature famous celebrities at Windsor Castle, a series of street parties that will take place throughout the country, and a volunteering campaign called The Big Help Out. So Tiwa Savage, in this particular regard, will join a host of other noted celebrities from around the world for the concerts such as Paloma Faith, Steve Winwood, Olimos and DJ Petetong, who will play his famous Ibiza classics. And of course, the concert will showcase world-renowned pianist Lang Lang and Lucy, the recent winner of the piano competition. And Buckingham Palace has released a press release saying that they're pleased to announce further details on the ceremonial, celebratory and community events that will take place over the coronation weekend between Saturday 6th and Monday 8th of May 2023. That release was coming from the palace. It's lovely to actually see, you know, our celebrities representing us in that category, that level.
Well, of course, music is one of our greatest, in fact, it is our greatest export right now. So yes, it's good to see Nigerian entertainers being recognized, you know, at that level. It's a good one.
It feels like Thomas Savage is just growing and growing and growing and growing and growing.
All of them, I dare say, all of them. Rema is doing great things. Burna Boy is doing great things. Wizkid, of course, is doing great things. Tame's doing great. So
Ira Star,
you know. So a lot of them are doing great things, and one cannot just help but be proud.
That's true.
Of them and of Nigeria.
I've told you that we need to release album.
No, I can't sing to save my life. So hey.
Hey, you said you could sing one time. What happened? You cannot sing again.
I changed my mind. All right, that's it on the show today.
Yeah,
do have yourself a beautiful holiday.
Yes.
And we wish you the very best. Don't forget to follow us, like our YouTube page, Voice of the People TV on YouTube and on other social media platforms, VOP TV Live. My name is Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Esther Nwachukwu.